As you heard as we were coming up here, getting the right balance is going to be it. One of the things I'm picking up at this conference is everyone's sort of warily watching each other. Who's going to control this data? Who's going to own this data? How are consumers going to benefit from it? And David, why don't I start with you at Ford Direct? As an OEM, how do you see it? I mean, you want to welcome others to come into the car, but by the same token, I got to believe an OEM wants to maintain control at the same time.
Yeah, so the interesting part about what Ford Direct is, and really Ford Direct is a joint venture of Ford Motor Company and Ford and Lincoln dealers. So we're really in that juxtaposition between the interest of the OEM and how the dealers want to use that vehicle data. I see there's a separation. There's necessarily two categories of data. One is the traditional engineering type of data in terms of trouble diagnostic codes, the stuff that engineering wants to use to maintain quality. And I think there's another category of data, which is customer-generated data as it relates to how you're using the product, where you're using that product, and what are the features of that product which interest you most. So you think of like a Nielsen report. Is it beneficial for the OEM to know that 30% of your feature mix is rarely used by customers? And so is that a product where you might think about decontenting or depopulating from your program mix to use the revenue or saved cost to reinvest in another area of technology or services?
John Correa, let me go to you. You're sort of an outsider looking in. You've got a lot of OEM experience. How do you see this going, especially as the OEMs in Detroit face off with the Silicon Valley folks? Who's going to control this?
Well, I think we got to make sure we understand ultimately it's the customer's data. And we need to protect that. We need to notify them what we're doing with the data and who we're sharing it with. It's very important. I think we also need to give value in return for the privilege of accessing that data. I think it's much more valuable when it's shared. So ultimately we're going to need to share it with the Tier 1 community, with different service providers. You can't unlock the value completely of the data unless you can share it with a number of different constituents and stakeholders across the value chain. So I think it is important that it's more of a community, but we have to make sure that we keep that customer privacy and trusts in mind.